what's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about SSH keys. So let's get right into it. So today we're going to be talking about SSH keys. There is a private and public key that you use, and this is able to get your client machine access to, let's say, a server, a VM, or whatever you guys are trying to do. And the nice thing about SSH keys is you can set them up passwordlessly, so that, think of it this way, as as we have username and passwords traditionally, right, with across all systems, the public key is like the username and the private key is essentially like the password, right? So please never share your private key with anyone. Don't ever do it under any circumstances, no matter what. I'm just saying that just because I know someone's going to get asked about their private key and they're going to give it away and it's going to create some problems. So don't ever give away the private key. There's your, your safety tip. Why would you want to do things like this? Well, the nice thing about using SSH keys is it does allow us to use things like Ansible or other things that need to connect to clients without, going through the whole username and process, right? So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how to make this in Windows as well as Linux, and how to connect to the and how to actually connect to the machine itself. So let's go ahead and let's make some SSH keys in Windows. Now, this is a step-by-step guide. I will give credit, to Mr. Tech Doofus, who made me this guide, and I know I've been really kind of giving him a lot of shout outs, man, but this guy is like ridiculously smart, and he had enough time to make me this guide, and I'll share it with you guys. So if you guys are Kingsman members, I'll give you guys access to this. Just DM me or whatever, email me, and I'll get you guys access to this page. This is an entire process of how to get your SSH keys and also get them into your GitHub. And the nice thing about putting them in your GitHub is there's an actual install option inside of all Ubuntu's, so to where there's an option where when you're doing the actual install open SSH page on the installation, there's a drop-down menu for GitHub. So if you put in your GitHub username, it'll automatically pull your public keys from your GitHub repository. So really, really cool feature. There is a additional little step, if you guys are interested, in the Ansible fork from Tech Doofus in this guide as well. Now, I'm not going to get into how to make Ansible and how to get it to work today, but that is also included in how to fork and clone his Ansible. So now let's go ahead, and we need to actually make our keys for our Windows VM here. Now, I'm going to be doing this in Proxmox because I already have private and public keys on my main Windows PC. So the command we're going to be typing is pretty simple. And this is going to create our pairs. I'm assuming that most of you guys don't have SSH keys if you're watching this video. So you can always check see if you have any keys. You can do a cd .s and then tab out to do SSH. And it's like, oh, well, we can't find that. Well, that probably means that you don't have any SSH keys. So we're going to do SSH hyphen keygen space hyphen lowercase t ed 25519. And this is just the encryption algorithm that GitHub uses. So this is why we're using this. This way we can add it to our GitHub repository. I'm going to do space hyphen capital C, and we're going to start with a quote, and we're going to put our email, which is going to be theminingkingllc@gmail.com hyphen. Okay, and then we're going to hit enter. It's going to be like, how do you want to save this? And we're just going to leave it as the default, and we're going to hit enter. And it's going to ask you if you want to put in a passphrase. Now, you can put in a passphrase, but then you're going to be doing passwords again every time you SSH over. It does add another layer of security because you have to have the SSH key pairs. But if you want to access your rigs or VMs without adding passwords, then I'll show you that cool trick in a minute. You're just not going to put a passphrase here, right? We're going to hit enter, and we're going to do that again. Okay, now it just created our keys. So now we can do a CD, and now obviously we're in the folder now, right? It led us into the SSH folder. Now we're going to do a dir/s, and now you can see that there is a ID underscore ed 25519. Don't ever show the one that doesn't have the .pub. The one that doesn't have the .pub is your private key. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a more, and then we're going to do ID underscore ed 25519.pub. Okay, now it just spit out it just gave us our public key for GitHub. And we're going to copy it just to make sure we copied it here. I'm going to come over here to our notepad, and we're just going to copy it in, right? Just to make sure we got it. Okay, now we're going to go over to GitHub. So you're over here at GitHub, and I'm assuming that most of you probably do not have a GitHub page. You're going to have to sign up. It's just like anything else you guys sign up with. You sign up with an email and make a password and all that stuff, right? Once you go through there and go through the general setup, I'm not going to take you through that because everybody should know how to sign up for stuff nowadays. We're going to sign in. Okay, so once you've signed into your GitHub, your page is going to look like this, right? This is going to be your initial sign-in page where you could like create a repository, import stuff, whatever. You're going to come over here to the top right, and you're going to click on your little icon, and I just put KiiNG SSH, and you're going to go to your profile. And I found it just to click on the big little sticker guy here. And then it's going to bring you into your personal account, you know what I mean? So I haven't filled any of this in. This is all just for testing. So I'm just going to delete it as soon as I'm done with this video. You're going to want to come down here to SSH and GPG keys. Okay, now we want to actually do a new key. And we're just going to call this the, SSH, key test. Okay, and then we're going to do a Control V, and we're going to paste the whole key. We want the SSHED with the email and all that. We want everything, right? You want to copy it just as it is, that it spits it out, right? And then we're going to click Add SSH Key. Cool. Now you're like, well, how can I grab this key from GitHub? Well, what you would do is you would delete this part and then do, since mine's KiiNG, right? It's KiiNG SSH, and then you're going to do .keys, and then hit enter. Okay, now you notice that it doesn't spit out everything, and that's totally fine, right? If you need to add this key to an existing VM, this is how you're going to do it. Okay, you're just going to copy this just like this from your GitHub keys. Okay, so first let's go through how would you do this in an Ubuntu install, right? Because here we are on Ubuntu server. So we're at the very opening page of English, and sure, we could use the newest installer. We'll let it go through this real quick. So once you get to this screen right here, when you get to the please, are you going to install Open SSH server or not on this server? We're going to hit space bar, but look, you have this import SSH identity. You're going to hit enter, and you can put your GitHub, and now it's going to say GitHub username. We're going to put KiiNG SSH, and then we're going to go down to done, it's going to be fetching the keys, and it's like, oh, hey, I found this key. And you're gonna hit, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that. And then we're gonna let it install, and then we'll test it here momentarily, and I'll be right back when this is done installing. So, all right, guys, so it is done installing, and we're going to log into our server. You can see we have an IP address of 10.10.4.237. So we're going to go back to our Windows. Okay, so we're going to enter our SSH credentials. It's going to be SSH username at the IP address. So most likely when you first create this, you're going to have, it's going to ask you to leave the key footprint, and you're going to hit yes. And it should just let us in, and it did. So because we put in our GitHub repo keys, this way it knows like, hey, you're allowed to be in this system. You have the private key that matches the public key. So this way you don't get prompted for your password. So you can SSH all over the place while still maintaining a level of security, right? Now you can add passwords to your SSH keys and make it even more secure. So that's totally up to you guys. But this is a way for you guys at home if you guys just want to be able to use SSH and not always have to keep putting in passwords after all these SSHs. So it's kind of up to you guys how you guys want to proceed. But let's go ahead and let's get into the Linux stuff. All right, but let's say that you've already built a Linux VM, right? You already have your Linux VM. This is obviously a different IP address. We're on 10.10.4.249, and we will, go back to our Windows machine here, and you can see I'm SSH'd in, but let's go ahead and exit out. We're going to do SSH at the 10.10.4.249, and it's going to ask for a password. I just made it Panda Rocks. There you go. Okay, I typed it too fast. Panda Rocks. Let's do. And we don't have the SSH keys for, this VM yet. So we're gonna do this, right? We're gonna do a cd.ssh. Okay, and now we're in the folder. Now we're gonna do an LL, and then we can go to authorized keys. And then what we could do is we could do a cat and do authorize. And what cat's gonna do is just tell us what's in the folder, right? Okay, and there's nothing in the folder. There is no authorized keys for this VM yet, right? We'll just say you just made a regular Ubuntu server VM. Now we need to add the keys to this, okay? So how do we do that? Again, we're going to go to our GitHub, and we're just gonna copy this. And how do we get to this particular section where we get our keys for our GitHub? Is going to be our github.com/our username.keys. Okay, and it'll bring you to this page right here. Okay, now that we've copied our keys, and we'll just make sure again we've copied the keys, is now we need to go back to our command line. So we'll do a nano authorized keys. So we're going to do a nano on this, and obviously the nano is blank under authorized keys, right? Because we haven't actually put any keys in here. So we're going to right click, then we're going to do a Control X, and it's going to ask, do you want to save this? And we're going to hit yes for saving, and we're going to put yes, and there we go. Okay, so now we could do a cat on authorized keys. And now you could see our authorized keys comes up in the cat. Cat's just going to tell us what's in the folder, right? And that's the only thing that's in there. So now we're going to do type exit, and then we're going to SSH back in here with the username, and we should not be prompted for the password because we've put our keys from GitHub in the VM, so we no longer will need the password. So I hope this video was helpful. Once again, thank you to Mr. Tech Doofus for all the help that he always gives me. Let me know how you guys liked the video. Give it a thumbs up, give it a like. Make sure to share and subscribe. All right, this is the Money King giving you the most hashes, and I'll see you next time.